I'm Miss Bridget, and welcome to Preschool Storytime. I'm very excited to have you here with me today. But before we get started, I want to let you know what's happening on this channel. On Tuesdays, Miss Farmery is bringing you Babies and Books at 9:30 a.m. The next day, on Wednesday, we're doing Stories for 2s and 3s, also with Miss Farmery. On Thursdays, you're with me at Preschool Storytime at 9:30, and on Friday, we're very happy to bring you a special pajama story time at 6 p.m. with Miss Sage. I'd like to thank Penguin Random House and Antheum Books for their permission to read their stories today. They are two of my very favorite books. Now, to make sure you don't miss anything happening on this channel, be sure to subscribe and also hit the bell icon so you get notified every time that we post a new video. So let's get started. I think we'll start by warming up our hands with a little hello song. I think we'll sing Hello Friends today. So our signs for hello are a little salute like this. This is hello. And friends, 2 fingers, 1 on each hand, and we kind of crisscross them like they're hugging, like they're nice friends who hug. And we'll get started. Here we go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hello friends, hello friends, hello friends. It's time to say hello. Alrighty, well now that I've said hello to you and you've said hello to me, it's time to get into the stories. Now this week, I am reading stories all about books. Like the ones all around me here at the library, like the ones we read every single week. And let me just tell you, books are the reason I became a librarian. I love books. I love all the different stories I get to read to you every single week. And this first story, The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore, is about all of those stories. The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore by William Joyce. Illustrated by William Joyce and Joe Bloom. Morris Lesmore loved words. He loved stories. He loved books. His life was a book of his own writing, one orderly page after another. He would open it every morning and write his joys and sorrows of all he knew and everything he hoped for. But every story has its upsets. And one day the sky darkened and the winds blew and blew. Till everything Mr. Morris knew was scattered, even the words of his own book. He didn't know what to do or which way to go. So he began to wander and wander. Then, a happy bit of happenstance came his way. Rather than looking down, as had become his habit, Morris Lesmore looked up, and drifting through the sky above him, Morris saw a lovely lady. She was being pulled along by a festive squadron of flying books. That would be my preferred form of travel, if I could. Morris wondered if his book could fly. Oh, but it couldn't. It would only fall to the ground with a depressing thud. The flying lady knew Morris simply needed a good story, so she sent him her favorite. And the book was an amiable fellow and urged Morris to follow him. The book led him to an extraordinary building where many, many books apparently nested. Now, where could that place be, full of lots and lots of books? Could it be a library? I don't know. Morris slowly walked inside, and discovered the most mysterious and inviting room he had ever seen. It was filled with the fluttering of countless pages, and Morris could hear the faint chatter of 1,000 different stories, as if each book was whispering an invitation to adventure. Then his new friend flew up to him and landed on his arm. It held itself open, as if hoping to be read. The room rustled to life, and so Morris's life among the books began. Morris tried to keep the books in some sort of order, but they always mixed themselves up. The tragedies needed cheering up and would visit the comedies. The encyclopedias, weary of facts, would relax with the comic books and fictions. All in all, it was an agreeable jumble. Morris found great satisfaction in caring for the books, gently fixing those with fragile bindings and unfolding the dog-eared pages of others. Sometimes Morris would become so lost in a book and scarcely emerge for days at a time. You ever been lost in a book you don't even know how long you've been reading it? I have. Morris liked to share books with others. Sometimes it was a favorite that everyone loved, and other times he found a lovely little volume whose tale was seldom told. Everyone's story matters, said Morris, and all the books agreed, and so did I. At night, after all the stories that needed telling had been told and everyone had settled down to their proper places on the shelves, the great big dictionary would get in the last word, Z. It was then that Morris Lesmore would once again write in his own book, and he would write of his joys and sorrows, of all that he knew and everything that he hoped for. The days passed, and so did the months. And then years and years. And Morris Lesmore became stooped and crinkly, but the books never changed. Their stories stayed the same, and now his old friends took care of him the way he had once cared for them, and they read themselves to him each night. Then one day, he filled the last page in his book. He looked up and said with a bittersweet sigh, "Well, I guess it's time for me to move on." The books were sorry, but they understood. Morris put on his hat and took his cane, and as he went to the door, he turned and smiled, and then waved goodbye. "I'll carry you all with me here," he said, and pointed to his heart. The books waved their pages, and Morris Lesmore flew away. And as he flew, he changed back to the way he'd been that long, long ago day when they'd all first met. The books were quiet for a while. Then they noticed that Morris Lesmore had left something behind. "It's his book," said the oldest friend. Inside was Morris's story. All of his joys and sorrows, all that he knew and everything he'd ever hoped for. Then, the books heard a small, expectant sound. There in the doorway was a little girl, and she looked around with wonder. Then something fantastic happened. Morris Lesmore's book flew up to her and opened its pages. The girl began to read, and our story ends where it began. With the opening of a book. And there he is, our friend, Mr. Lesmore. And that's the end of the fantastic flying books of Mr. Morris Lesmore. Well, now that we've finished our first story, it's time to get some wiggles out. So let's start by wiggling our fingers. Okay, give them a good wiggle. Can you wiggle your toes? Wiggle your toes. Parents, wiggle those toes too if you're there. You've got toes too. Okay, wiggle the toes. Can you wiggle your shoulders? Go the other way. Get tricky. Go two at a time. Okay. Can you wiggle your nose? I don't know. Can you wiggle your nose? Let's see. Try it again. Could you wiggle your ears? I don't know if we can wiggle our ears yet. We'll work on wiggling our ears next time. It's time for our second story. Now, this may be my actual favorite book of all time, and I'm sharing it with you today. It is the book with no pictures. You know it, you love it. This is The Book with No Pictures by B.J. Novak. Here we go. Now I have to read this warning that's on the back first. Warning, this book looks serious, but it's actually completely ridiculous. If a kid is trying to make you read this book, the kid is playing a trick on you. You will end up saying silly things and make everyone laugh and laugh. Don't say I didn't warn you. Well, I'll read it because I'm not afraid of saying anything silly. This is The Book with No Pictures by B.J. Novak. Here we go. This is a book with no pictures. It may seem like no fun to have someone read you a book with no pictures, right? Our last story had so many pretty pictures, and this one doesn't have any. It probably seems boring and serious, except here's how books work. And this is a very important part of Miss Bridget's job. Everything the words say, the person reading the book has to say. Oh. No matter what. That's the deal. That's the rule. So that means even if the words say, blork. Wait, what? That doesn't mean anything. Or blurb. Wait a second. This isn't the kind of book I wanted to read. And I have to say every word the book says. Uh-oh. I'm a monkey who taught myself how to read. Hey, I'm not a monkey. And now I'm reading you this book with my monkey mouth and my monkey voice. That's not true. I'm not a monkey, am I? Yes, I'm a monkey. I am also a robot monkey. What? Also, and my head is made of blueberry pizza. Wait a second. Is this whole book a trick? Can I stop reading it now? No? Please? And now, it's time for me to sing you my favorite song. A song? Do I really have to sing glug, 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 my face is a bug, I eat ants for breakfast right off the rug. What? That's not my favorite song. This book is ridiculous. Can I stop reading it now? No. There are more pages. I have to read the rest. Do I really have to read the rest of the story, or could it be over now? No, you're right. I will finish reading the story. My only friend in the world is a hippo named Boo Boo Butt. Boo Boo Butts? Oh, I don't think so. Also, the kids I'm reading this book to are the best kids ever in the history of the entire world. Oh, really? Also, that kid is the smartest kid too, because this kid chose this book even though it has no pictures, because kids know that this is the book that makes grown-ups have to say silly things and make silly sounds like, oh no, here it comes. Glurg-a-waka, mugum-a-doo, aye, brrrr, impa, blaggity, blaggity, glibbity, globbity, globbity, glibbity, beep, boop, yee. Badoogie face. Oh my goodness. Please don't ever make me read this book again. It is so silly. In fact, it's completely and utterly preposterous. Next time, please, 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 choose a book with pictures. Please, because this is just too ridiculous to read. The end. Bonk. I didn't want to say that. And that is the end of the book with no pictures. Can you see why that's my favorite if you like to be silly? Well, that's the end of our second book, and it's also the end of story time for this week. So let's warm our hands up for our goodbye song. This week we will sing Goodbye, Friends again. Because we're all friends. Here we go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. I'll be here next week for Preschool Storytime at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday. And don't forget to check out Pajama Storytime tomorrow at 6 p.m. with Miss Sage. Goodbye.